we'll be going up in here, and it will be muddy and slippery. So.
In a soggy green space tucked between Dexter and 4th Avenue, a team of volunteers find footing on a muddy embankment, grabbing onto tree branches for support as they walk deeper into the small roadside wooded area and toward the remnants of a small encampment. They gather cushions, tents, books, needles, blankets, and keepsakes, all left over, they say, from the camp of a person they found here dead 2 weeks prior.
Checking on the camps, that were still set up, and yeah, I happened to come across a fully decomposed body. It was laying in a tent. He was all fully clothed. He was wrapped up in his blankets and stuff when I pulled him out and had him laying on my knees, because I was on my knees pulling stuff out of the tent. And it was a real shock to me. I mean, I've seen a lot of bodies in my time, but seeing one fully decomposed.
Volunteers called the Seattle Police Department to report the death. Officers responded, and the bones are now being examined. With the fluid nature of homeless camp populations and no definitive head count on this camp from any official organization, questions remain on just how many people lived here, who knew this person, and who knows what happened to them. There's no available identification yet from the King County Medical Examiner's office, leaving a mystery on how this person died and who they were. Some people see the remains forgotten, long enough to decompose down to the bone, and they ask, how many more will be found like this person? Those volunteers are members of nonprofit We Heart Seattle. In the absence of verified answers, volunteers act as amateur detectives, piecing together what they can through the debris. Among their findings are glass bottles, strung up on branches like ornaments, a veritable library of novels, and enough needles to fill multiple biohazard containers. They conclude in their amateur assessment that this person was likely a voracious reader, with an unbroken taste for decor and a crippling intravenous drug addiction.
He's got his cooker in here.
This is somebody who has a lot of trauma. I don't believe they're one paycheck away from making their rent from getting fired from Boeing or wherever. I believe this is just addiction gets the best of people. They're in a cycle. There's no way a person chooses this way and stays out here to languish and eventually die if drugs are not involved. And the evidence is clear.
Andrea Suarez founded We Heart Seattle during the pandemic and today acts as the nonprofit's executive director. She leads a handful of staff and rotating teams of volunteers in what the website describes as a, quote, action-based, boots-on-the-ground movement that organizes trash cleanups in our public spaces and offers resources to those in need.
We've been doing this for 3 years. This is our 330th pick. Over 1 million pounds of trash removed from green spaces and encampments in 3 years with over 11,000 hours of volunteer boots-on-the-ground labor.
But as a private organization operating on public land, some ask, who is We Heart Seattle accountable to? We Heart Seattle isn't officially contracted with any city or government agency. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority and Washington Department of Transportation both say they do not coordinate with Suarez's organization. A spokesperson from Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell's office says in an email that the city does not pay We Heart Seattle for any services. She also writes that it's not a registered volunteer group with Seattle Parks and Recreation. Instead, the nonprofit relies solely on donations, which Suarez estimates is in the $700,000 range this fiscal year. In terms of relationships with local leaders, Suarez previously told Seattle's Morning News on Cairo News Radio that she viewed her actions cleaning up the camps as disruptive to the status quo.
There's some workers working behind you. What are they doing?
They are like in an archaeological dig site, picking up trash from 5, 6, plus 10 years ago. It could be part illegal dumping, part accumulated trash by the people living here. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of used needles, cookers, tourniquets, and other drug paraphernalia that King County hands out through the needle exchange program. So I do question what the term exchange is in that failing program that is really just enabling people to die out here alone.
But now, with 5 of 9 Seattle City Council members being new to the job, Suarez says she's experienced a change in her interactions with some of them.
5 out of the now 8 appointed and elected city council members have been out here boots on the ground with us, litter picking. Our city attorney's been out here litter picking. Ann Davidson, Sarah Nelson, Rob Sacca, Kathy Moore, Bob Kettle came out to an event. So I feel very hopeful that we now have a council that's supporting private funded collaborative efforts that are helping guide them on what's working, what's not, and giving a voice to addicts.
Unlike service providers contracted through King County Regional Homelessness Authority, Suarez said she thinks drug treatment for people suffering from addiction should come before housing.
Needles that are handed out by King County as a form of harm reduction. The current Housing First funding doesn't give money to people who are trying to give people a hand up and path out of addiction. And so We Heart Seattle is using a lot of our donations to fund recovery-oriented housing here forward.
Refusing to commit to prioritizing Housing First has historically left her out of broad homelessness outreach coordination in the county. It's also earned her and We Heart Seattle a contested reputation as either a maverick or a renegade, depending on your views. But it's a reputation that Suarez apparently embraces.
Don't talk to homeless about addiction or recovery, and don't go knocking on their door. They don't knock on your door. And I say, well, isn't that the exact definition of a stigmatizing, is to not acknowledge the person as a human being, that they too might want a clean house, they too might want a clean and sober pathway out. And so for that I say, let's knock on those tent doors, go within 20 feet, do a welfare check. All hands on deck. Everybody can be an outreach worker.
Coming up, we hear from people who claim We Heart Seattle isn't what it seems.